So good to have you. New York Democratic Governor Andrew Cuomo shocked an audience yesterday with this take on the greatest nation on earth.
We're not going to make America great again. It was never that great.
Oh, come on, man. The president fired back today on Twitter, saying in part, "Can you believe this is the governor of the highest taxed state in the U.S., Andrew Cuomo, having a total meltdown?" The tit-for-tat continued, with Cuomo responding, saying, "What would you say would be great again would not be great at all. We will not go back to discrimination, segregation, sexism, isolationism, racism, or the KKK. Like NY's motto says, Excelsior, ever upward, not backward." Actress Cynthia Nixon is challenging Cuomo in the Democratic primary next month. If he beats her, then he'll face my next guest. Larry Sharpe is a Libertarian candidate for governor of New York. A lot of excited followers and fans on social media are so excited to see you on this live big news debut.
I am super cool. It's true.
All right. So,
Yes.
Larry, do you love it when establishment politicians say really stupid things?
Well, do you have a dog?
Yes.
And your dog barks sometimes, I assume? Mm-hmm. Are you surprised when your dog barks?
Sometimes.
But usually you expect the dog to bark, right?
Sure.
Yeah, I expect this from this guy.
Yeah.
Of course I do. His hubris, his arrogance has been the same way for 8 years.
Now, even Cynthia Nixon said that I think this is just another example of Andrew Cuomo trying to figure out what a progressive sounds like and missing by a mile. When politicians say really stupid things, it's when they not only reveal themselves, but they're trying to be something that they're not.
I'm not sure that's true with him. I mean, I think if you look at what he's been, he is whatever he thinks will get him to win. He's always trying to motivate his base. In New York State, we have a big problem, and that is about 70% of us don't vote. So he's just hoping that some people stay home and his base keeps coming out. That's what he's trying to achieve. But there's a second piece here. All he cares about is beating Trump. That's it. He's running for president. He's been running for president for literally months. If Trump said the sky was blue, he would say it's green.
Yes.
And he wouldn't care. And there's a bunch of New Yorkers who would agree with him, whatever he said.
Well, there are also a bunch of New Yorkers who have been looking for good jobs that have been promised them, and they have not found them.
Yes.
And I'm guessing that is in large part because of government regulation and unions and government getting in the way and impeding actual real progress, economic and otherwise.
Licensing and regulations and insurance and the whole thing. Look, the issue isn't with America. Of course, America's great. We literally have 500,000 or more naturalized citizens every single year. If America wasn't great, they'd be in their countries and not ours. The question is New York great? And it isn't, and it's because of the last 8 years of His Majesty's reign. Exactly correct. An anti-small business, anti-new business. We've pushed out cryptocurrency. We've pushed out cannabis and hemp. We're trying to push out Uber.
That was just in the green room.
Yeah. It was that fast. Woo! It was that fast. Yes. All we do is push this stuff out.
Okay, but it's interesting because those are the type of things that resonate with younger voters
Yes.
who tend to not vote a lot.
That is correct.
And we were talking the other night about how millennials are leaving the Democratic Party because they're squashing great ideas.
They're walking away.
Like Lyft.
Yes, they are. They are walking away from Democrats and walking right to me. Yes, they are. Every time I go out, all the events I go to, I see lots and lots of young people. And that's why my Twitter army, right? My Facebook army, a lot of them are youngsters. Of course, they see that there is no real opportunity in this state anymore. They get that, and they're leaving. We lose over 100,000 New Yorkers every single year. They're running away. It's youth flight. Yes. Right? People, they get educated, the youngsters, and then they leave, or they get educated and then they get stuck.
Well, same thing happened in Venezuela.
Yes.
You know, the doctors, nurses, teachers, and engineers all left as soon as they could. And what are you left with? People whose lives are controlled by the state.
That is correct.
As their life expectancy shrinks and they're slowly running to the ground.
But if your name is Andrew Cuomo, that's a good thing, right? You want it to where you have counties with 1/3 of Medicare, 1/3 of Medicaid, and then a dwindling population and a rising tax base, because you always look to him as the savior. Yeah. And if you keep looking to him as the savior, you keep voting for him, and you're voting out of fear. And those people who don't vote give up. And they're ready to leave.
If Gary Johnson, and I love Gary Johnson.
I love Gary Johnson,
but
too.
if he were half as passionate and articulate as you are, just on these local issues, he easily could have gotten to 5%. I hope the Libertarian Party has more candidates like you who embrace a rational message.
Yes, we have. Look, we've got Craig Bowden working right now in Utah. We have Chrissy Richards right now working.
I live in New York State, one of many where politicians spend more money than we have.
There's a $4.4 billion deficit.
My governor wants to raise taxes, but this man says there's a better way to raise money.
We can lease naming rights on our infrastructure. We can
Infrastructure meaning?
Bridges, tunnels. The Triborough Bridge could be called the Staples Bridge or the Apple Bridge.
Companies would pay because bridges are seen by lots of people.
Hundreds of thousands of vehicles pass by and see that big sign. That's valuable.
That I disagree with.
That's a bad idea.
Most people we asked didn't like the idea.
I definitely wouldn't want to rename something after some sort of corporation.
People don't like this. It's commercializing.
Absolutely. Shake your fist and say, this doesn't sound good, if you want to. And you're going to wind up in a place where the tax burden is insanely high.
I just think some things should be left pure, not tainted by money.
You know what she should do? Start a nonprofit, raise $30 million. She can name it whatever she wants.
It's one of the largest construction projects in the country.
Our governor just had a beautiful new bridge built, and he named it after his father.
Yes, he did. That's true.
Governor Mario M. Cuomo Bridge.
We actually have an imperial bridge named after our royal family. I'm embarrassed.
Sharpe is the Libertarian candidate. We Libertarians don't worship politicians and don't think they deserve monuments just because they got elected.
I'll tell you what I'll do. He's got $30 million a year. He can keep his name on that bridge and he's take care of the maintenance.
Someone asked me, Larry, how are you going to pay for I-81?
Sharpe's campaign is attracting new people. His rallies have bigger crowds than third-party candidates normally get. And Sharpe's original ideas help get him speaking roles at big events and media coverage.
If you're unhappy with the system, you got to change it.
One poll found Sharpe getting 13%. And after people hear his campaign pitch, 25% support him.
I'm not going to roll back anything.
Some of Sharpe's positions surprised me. You're a libertarian. I assume you want to cut these wasteful programs.
Of course not. Look, the issue here is you don't want to just pull the rug out from people because when you do that, they become afraid.
If people are afraid, they rarely vote for you. So you would keep all these
When did I say it was
government
going away?
programs.
Yeah. I said no new programs.
And you would keep the existing.
Sure. Why? Who said I would get rid of them?
I just assumed because
Why?
they're inefficient, they're bloated.
So get rid of them? That's the worst idea. Let me be very clear about something. If you pull the rug out from somebody is going to be afraid.
Sharpe focuses on his alternatives to taxes.
Why don't we instead have a 3M bridge or an Apple bridge or a Pepsi bridge?
Why hasn't this been done?
Because no one has any new ideas. There's no ideas how I'm going to fix anything or do anything right. It doesn't even exist. I'm a third party. I have to have ideas or no one will listen to me.
The MTA, New York subway system, is falling apart.
Trains are packed, buses are packed. We need the money.
So Sharpe says, rent out the tracks at night.
We have so many lines in the MTA right now that are not being used at all at night. Home Depot or Google or Amazon or whomever, they can decide they can use these freight lines. They'll help pay for maintenance, obviously, and they'll pay to move their freight. Again, win, win, win.
Then Sharpe said something else that surprised me.
There are systems out there that are both safe and unionized, so we keep unions happy and our workers safe and be cheaper.
Why do you want to keep the unions happy?
Because they're unionized? Why not keep unions happy?
Because unions can be destructive.
They can be, absolutely.
Don't think of a libertarian as a pro-union guy.
Unions are part of a First Amendment. It's people getting together saying they won't do X until you do Y. Nothing wrong with that at all.
It raises prices.
Fine, that's okay. It is what it is. Collective bargaining is fine. My issue with unions has always been, are you forcing me to be in a union? Are you forcing unionized labor? If you're forcing it, I'm libertarian. I have a problem with that. But you're voluntarily doing it? I don't have a problem at all.
Sharpe is the rare politician who proposes new ideas that might actually reduce the burden of government. This man liked his subway funding idea.
I think that would be good. We need air conditioning in the subway, so Amazon, get us air conditioning.
He's thinking the right way. Amazon will love it. We'll love it. I like that guy.
And I like it that there's at least one candidate who doesn't want to make government bigger. New programs.
No, I'm libertarian.
No new programs?
No.
How to take care of people?
You do know what party I'm part of, right? Libertarians believe that you should be as conservative or as liberal as you want to be, as long as you don't want to force yourself on others.
Larry Sharpe for governor 2018. I'm happy about that. That's amazing. I'm very happy about that. But the reality of it is they say that imitation is the highest form of flattery. Well, Nixon, I am flattered. Thank you so much. I appreciate that. There's more to just letting people smoke marijuana, though, particularly in New York State. There's also letting people grow marijuana and grow hemp, not just to sell, not just to take, but also to grow. Now, I know when you say that, people say, wait a minute, Larry, you can already grow hemp. No, the regulation here makes sure only the cronies, only the big business can grow. No new laws, no new regulation. Hemp and marijuana should be regulated like onions. No difference. If you can grow an onion in your backyard, you can grow hemp or weed in your backyard. If you can grow onions in your farm, your family farm, you can grow hemp or marijuana in your family farm. So it is more important to not just say people can have, but to also say people can grow. And it's not just cannabis, it's also hemp. But I must go one step further. It is not just that. It is also to sell. How am I going to sell my hemp, sell my marijuana? Do I require licenses to do that? If we do that, guess what? The big business again begins to win. No. What I want us to do is I want us to regulate that like a health food store. Health food stores sell good stuff every day. Why aren't they selling marijuana? Why aren't they selling cannabis products? No licensing, no. Just like health food stores, no difference whatsoever. There are three parts of this. So what can I do as governor to make that happen? Number one, what I have to do, no matter what, is begin right away, within the first 90 days, to tell the Justice Department, to tell the police force to stop enforcing. It should be the lowest, if not zero, priority, period. But there's a second issue. There are people who right now are suffering because they were arrested because they have a plant in their pocket. I must begin pardoning all of those people with possession charges. I must pardon them within the first 90 days. We must pardon and let them know this is a waste of our time and energy. This is wrong, and people are having their lives ruined for no reason. And on top of that, not only must I do that, I must push the issue, push it hard, that we have to deregulate marijuana and it should no longer be a Schedule I drug. This is a huge problem we must break, and someone who's in a governor's pulpit can do that better than anybody else. If you understand, this is not only about let's have adults who want medical marijuana. No, this is about letting us know that cannabis is the same as onions, that cannabis is the same as aspirin, that cannabis is a way of growing our state, it's a way of making people free, it's a way of growing jobs, it's a way of increasing our tax base without increasing taxes, and it's a way of making people happy in their life. What you choose to imbibe in your body, which you own, is up to you. Whether you use that to heal yourself mentally, physically, or spiritually, that's not my concern. And if you believe that to be true, there is only one candidate in November of 2018. That is Larry Sharpe for governor.
These are two things that no one wants to talk about.
Correct.
And they're both real, and they're both facts. And why is it that you think that these are they're obvious facts that people want to ignore?
Because they don't actually want to fix the problem, right? If you fix the problem, then you don't have controversy. If you don't have controversy, you don't have a left versus right paradigm.
Do you really think that's what it is?
Yes. First off, they don't want to touch they don't want to fix the problem. If you want to fix the problem of school shootings, right, there's two things to remember. As you've heard me say before, the school shooting, while it is a murder, at its core, it's actually a public suicide. And people to understand that at its core, most mass shootings are public suicides. They would understand that it's true. It's like death by cop, right? Mm-hmm. It's public suicide. So you have to make sure you have happier people, right? But then why do they choose schools? Several reasons. One, because that's where their assumed enemies are, right? The incels think that the bad guys and the bad girls are there. But something else, they're soft targets. The other thing you remember from all these school shootings is they're planned. And that's a critical aspect. You want to stop school shooting? In New York State, you don't have to pass one extra law at all. You have to do one minor thing and one thing only. And that is say, if you are if you're licensed and you have a permit to carry a firearm, if you want to in school, you may. If you're a teacher or an administrator. If you want to, you may. That's it. You don't have to force a teacher to carry. You don't need a resource officer. Why? Because if you have a resource officer, which is what most Republicans will say, put an officer there, they'll just shoot him first. If you allow Democrats, no guns. They'll shoot everybody. So if you instead say, well, I don't know who's armed. Is it an administrator? Is it a teacher? Is it everybody? Is it nobody? the planning goes away. Once there's no planning available, the school's no longer a soft target. They stop choosing the school.
Okay, let's unpack this. So you're saying that if you have an officer on the school that carries a gun, and this person knows that officer has a gun, they will shoot him first.
Correct.
And that if just teachers are carrying guns, there's no way this person knows, and so they're less likely to shoot people.
There's two things. Here's the core of it. What's killing our children? It's not firearms. I think it was a Texas shooting, I think it was. Before he stole the guns, he had put together and set up pipe bombs and pressure cooker bombs in case he couldn't steal the guns. So if he couldn't get guns, he was going to kill people anyway. The key thing here is what's killing these kids? Lack of community, lack of purpose, and loneliness. That's what's killing our kids. Those three things. Take those three things away, kids don't do that. You give a kid who's 16, 17, 18 purpose, he can't go off and kill people. He has something to do. He has a reason to live. Remember, this is a public suicide. If you have a reason to live and you think the right answer is to go do something, you don't kill yourself. If you don't kill yourself, there's no public suicide. Mass shootings all of a sudden are tremendously reduced. It's just how it works. It's human nature. You have to understand that. But if you do that, then there's no extra law. Then there's no one to point a finger at. You can't restrict guns. What I'm saying just makes actual sense.
This is where you and I break company, because I don't agree with that. I don't think that anyone is trying to keep these school shootings in the same state they are now. I think that there's two things. One, no one wants to demonize psychotropic drugs, and especially politicians. They have a really hard time with that.
Sure.
Because they don't want to tell people who are on psychotropic drugs that they're either suspects or suspicious or potential mass shooters.
New York State's showing you it's incorrect. We made the SAFE Act. And the SAFE Act literally says if you go on these drugs, you lose your firearm. So that's absolutely not true in New York State. It may be true in California. I don't know your laws here. But in New York State, the opposite is true. We've already done that. We have made our medical personnel part of our secret state police, which means if you go in and say, I'm feeling depressed, I need some drugs, I'm thinking about suicide, the state police might come by and take your firearms. That's already happening in New York State. And they now want to create red flag laws, which means a teacher can now do it. So now a teacher says, oh, there's a student who I see drew a firearm, he drew a gun, cops and robbers, maybe a red flag. Let me go to a judge and see if I can have the cops go and take his father's firearms.
I definitely want to talk about this, but I want to bring it back to what you said earlier. You don't think they want to fix the problem.
Yeah,
I don't think that's true. I just don't think they have a viable solution that they think is politically viable.
Perhaps, but I think my solution seems politically viable. People, everyone I say this to, they go, oh, wow, you're right.
Well, you are definitely right that they're lonely, sad people that are lashing out. And I think you're definitely right that in many instances it's a public suicide.
Yep.
And I think you're definitely right that the vast majority of them are on psychotropic drugs, which do have a disassociative aspect to them where they're not even sure they're aware of what they're doing. This is if you talk to people that have been on those.
Yeah.
Well, people that have been on these things don't mean anything anymore.
Right.
Like a car accident in front of them doesn't mean anything.
Yeah.
People have various reactions to various SSRIs and antidepressants, but one thing that happens is you lose the highs and lows and everything is just flat.
You become numb.
Yes, and you become numb to almost anything that happens.
Absolutely.
Again, it varies depending upon the individual that's on these things.
Sure.
Part of that would allow someone to do something horrific, which they wouldn't be able to before.
Well, there's two things to remember here. One, I'm not concerned with being righteous. I'm concerned with happy New Yorkers and happy people. That's what I want. Righteousness is very low on my priority of things. So if that doesn't sound, if what I'm saying sounds bad, I'm okay. I want to fix the problem. The second thing is I'm not a politician, which means I don't have a career I have to protect. I don't have interests I have to serve. The average donor is $75. So I don't have a bunch of people who write me huge checks. So I don't have that concern either. So maybe in 4 years I'll be corrupt and you can beat me up on the show.
No, I don't think you're corrupt. I mean, I'm not saying that at all. Well, and I don't even think they're corrupt. I mean, I'm sure many of them are.
Sure.
But I think that there's things they don't feel like they can discuss politically. And I think one of those things is in any way demonizing people who are on antidepressants.
Because a lot of people are.
There's a giant percentage of people on antidepressants in this
absolutely.
country.
Our opioid crisis is heavily based upon the idea that when you have pain of any type, physical, mental, the answer is not dealing with that pain, but the answer is a once-a-day pill.
Right, medication.
Yes, that is the answer for all of our pain. And because of that, you have a lot of people who are on drugs, and you probably know a stat, about 80% of all the people who are currently heroin addicts somehow started on someone's, not even always theirs, but someone's prescription legal drug. I mean, that was prescribed for either pain medication or something like that, usually pain medication.
Yeah.
But other things too. You're totally correct. This is a problem. But what I'm saying is, this is what I talk about often. People say, Larry, you know, why should I vote for you? Why should I support you? Here's the reason why. Whether you believe I can win or not is actually irrelevant. If you think I can win, awesome, I can win. And to be forward with you, if I win in New York as a Libertarian, the entire nation changes overnight. And that's not exaggeration. The entire nation changes overnight. This is the most impactful election, hands down, the entire nation, 20